Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I am joined by Book Club VIP member Tom Brennan and my husband, John. Today we're going to be talking about The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu, and it is the second book in the Three Body Problem trilogy. Before we jump into things, I just want to let you know that if you ever want to join us on chat, on camera, you can do that by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Libri Labra. There's a few different perks. You can help select the books that we read. You can help pick books that I review on my YouTube channel. You get preference with commenting in the YouTube comments. You get a customized bookmark. You also get to be part of our Book Club VIP member Facebook chat, exclusive chat, and there are a couple of other things. So if you're interested, again, you can go check that stuff out at patreon.com/Libri Labra. So this was a book that was selected by John.
I mean, I think right.
I think you really liked the first one.
I really enjoyed the Three Body Problem, and I really wanted to dive right into the entire trilogy and just right into it. So I looked up a couple places where to find discussion questions for this book. There really aren't many that I liked and enjoyed. There was a few essay questions that I felt like we can probably dive into a little bit, but I really just wanted to talk about the story itself and the idea that everything that we're coming across in literature at the moment, at least in my eyes, I think it seemed to be very serendipitous that I finding a lot about aliens as of lately. So I don't know.
I mean, that would just be the cherry on top with everything else that's happening, I feel like. But there are going to be spoilers in this discussion. I think first we can kind of go around and just get initial thoughts in regards to how we're feeling about the second book, maybe comparatively to the first one a little bit, and then we can jump into the full-fledged spoilerish discussion. So, Tom, what were your thoughts on your initial thoughts?
This was a bit of a longer haul for me on this one. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as the first book, but to me it redeemed itself at the end. But overall, there were some parts that's like, oh God, no. There's one part where one character says, "Oh, I'm going to reflect on my life." It's like, oh God, please don't. Because already long enough, but like you said,
it is pretty. It's definitely a chunker. It's over 500 pages. How did they, just as a quick question, how did they present the footnotes in the audiobook? Did they?
Not the one that I did. They?
Because there were definitely times where I was reading along and I couldn't tell if I was just losing my place or if they were reading something I wasn't looking at. Because I was like, wait, that's not the next
Maybe
sentence.
It's something that I just caught and put it into context when it came across. Maybe I don't know. I didn't actually physically read footnotes. So
yeah, and I don't think the prologue was in the audiobook.
It was not.
For me, it was.
It is my audiobook. It was not.
John was actually getting mad at me because I was reading and I would stop the audiobook to ask questions. And he was like, "Why are you doing this? They answer it in the next sentence. Stop stopping the audiobook." And I was like, "Well, why is this happening? Why is that happening?"
There is specifically one specific spot. I don't remember what it was, but she literally stopped it right before they were going to tell her exactly what she just asked me the question for. So I was like, oh my God.
Okay, well.
But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't already read it twice. So.
But I guess I complained about this one.
Let's keep that in mind. I read this twice.
Yeah, right. Yeah. John read this twice. So I don't know. I found myself frustrated with a lot of parts, I would say. Hold on, let me pause this. And I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if it was the writing. I don't know if the translation was a little bit different because I think the translator was different. But there were just some parts that I found to be really, really frustrating. I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about the whole wall facer project. I feel like that annoyed me a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's just like I told you. I said that it just felt like a big joke, and I didn't think it was funny.
Now, I thought that was funny. But she told me that
these are general
before
thoughts.
she even got to the future part. So I just thought that was hilarious.
So, one thing I did enjoy, though, is that there was less of the 3-body problem game, because I don't think I would have expected to like that in the first book, but after reading the first book, I really didn't. I hated it when they were in the 3-body problem. So I was happy there wasn't as much of that in this book.
I don't think we talked about that enough in our discussion, to be honest, but
So
we can do that another day. We can wrap up the entire
thoughts.
series. How about that?
Those are my initial thoughts.
Those are my initial thoughts. Okay. So you want mine now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I dove head first. I didn't care what I was getting into, to be honest. I just wanted to read more about the 3-body problem and what happens with the Trisolarans and Earth. But we still haven't come to that conclusion, to be honest.
No.
I was excited for it. Yay.
I mean, I did feel a little bit like, wait, there's another book? There's a whole nother book?
And I'm ready for it. I guess you're not.
No, I don't know if I am. But, so that's it? Those are all your initial thoughts? You're just...
Yay? I consumed it twice. So, like, what else? Really, what else can I say outside of I really wanted to get more info, and I'm still waiting for that info. So, I'm disappointed in number 2 because it didn't give me enough of that information. But
there was so much. There's so much information.
It's quite a journey how to get to that destination that I'm just really. That's what I'm excited for. And all I got was journey. Dang it.
Well, at this point, I guess we can
go into spoiler territory.
Yeah, jump into spoilers. So if you haven't read it, it is the second book in a series. Just be aware there's a lot of science, and it's hard science. I found myself getting lost in all the hard sciencey bits. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. If you've already read it, feel free to stick around. If you still want to read it, come back. But yeah.
Hit us up in the comments.
So I think I felt like it more so reading this book than I did in the first book. But like I was trying to explain to you, I can often identify all the little stories, but they always feel like little stories. And sometimes I have trouble like just finding the common thread that flows through all of them to make it a big story.
Okay.
And so that's what I felt like reading this. So like, when it focused on just a couple of characters, I can maintain what was happening until it got too sciencey and I kind of checked out. But I don't know. I finished it and I still had like tons of questions. You know what? How did you feel when you finished the first time and then when you finished it the second time? Out of curiosity.
What do you mean? How did if my emotions changed as to what information was there?
Did you reread it a second time immediately because you wanted to still be in that world?
Yes.
Or because you felt like you missed a lot?
Yes. No. I didn't feel like I missed too much, but I knew that I missed enough that I would find pieces when I read it the second time. But I finished it so soon in the month that I didn't want to be reading. I didn't want to read.
Never remember anything by now.
I honestly probably would have consumed the third book by now if I did read it a second time, and I didn't want to do that considering I wanted us to visit it together.
Okay, but finishing it a second time, did that feel like turning on a light bulb?
No.
Okay, all right, it's just probably me then. Okay.
Oh, you mean whether or not there was eureka moments in there? Like, aha!
Not just like one, just like a nice big one. Like,
No,
Okay.
I think that'll come at the third book.
okay.
Because we've already had a discussion about how we should not have had this discussion already, but we've already had discussion about how the writing is different here and how his writing just seems to, it's here's the information, here's the build up, here's where the cool stuff happens. All right, next.
Mhm.
So it's not like and there are different threads in each one, but it's a lot of those details are really easy to miss if you're not paying attention as to where you're at. And it's kind of interesting how unfamiliar names completely ruin character distinguishment. Like how to distinguish characters. If you're unfamiliar with the actual names of the characters, like some of them are a little similar to others, but they're not the same person or in the same. And also with the family and the surnames, that you get those first, and then their family name second, or Christian name, however they want to describe that. But
There was a list in the front of the book that had like the character names and stuff.
with pictures,
No, not with pictures. No.
I was like, that would have been awesome to actually distinguish
it had-
specific.
It had their name and then like who they were, like, you know, if they were a naval officer or if they were in Space Wars or
Okay.
like whatever they did.
Well, let's go ahead.
And then it defined the organizations, the 3 organizations.
Okay.
And I tried going back to reference that a couple of times, but it wasn't as helpful as I would have liked it to be. I don't even know what to ask or say. Like, I just feel like
That's kind of why I feel like there's not very much information out there about it, because a lot of this information was filler. Like, basically, we just got a good chunk of the story and how certain things came to be in the specific story leading to the third book. So basically, what I think what this one was focusing on was the Dark Forest. The Wall Facer plan was kind of like it seemed too like government reality show type shit. Like they wanted to be able to do something show the world they're trying something. You know, hey, we got this going on, but you know, we can't tell you because, you know, Sophon, you know. So, but the focus of the book was the idea of the Dark Forest, of us as a civilization knowing there might be more out there, and whether or not we go, hey, we're over here or not. So, do we?
I don't even know if like my brain can handle, like, there's just so much, especially with everything that's happening right now.
You're talking about politically?
Yeah. I'm trying. I don't know if I was able to record the part that was like that really filled me with a sense of dread, or just the fact that
basically sociology as a whole, as humanity, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like
but I think they were talking about, was it called the Great Ravine?
Yeah.
I think it was when they were explaining that whole thing that totally messed me up, because I was like, we're like a hop and a skip away from all of that. I felt like.
Yes, but what did they describe it as? And that was an interesting thing to come across, that this happened while certain people were in hibernation. But go ahead.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're asking me.
The Great Ravine, like what it was, like what exactly had happened.
Let's see.
I can give my interpretation, which would seem to be more along the lines of, you know, the theme of make time for civilization, or civilization won't make time.
Right.
In the sense that they put themselves on a war footing and they basically destroyed Earth to do it. And then look what it got them.
Perfect. Got us. I mean, we're still on this path here. But then at the end of the book, it's
like 10 minutes and done.
An optimistic look at what humanity does with what's going on right now, you know?
Yeah.
So
basically, number of resources, and what you do with them counts. So,
Right. But it's perfect. It's good. Some of us should be thinking some more about that. Make time for civilization before we're not going to make it as a civilization. Like we're not going to exist. It's
The point being is, if you're doing that for war, you really have no civilization.
Right.
At that point.
Stupid people.
I think it was just, knowing that. Well, first of all, overall in the whole book, there was always these different groups of people. You had the escapists, you had the defeatists, you had like people that were interpreting the current situation differently and obviously wanted to address it differently. So you have the people who are like, what's the point? What's the point? Why try to fix global warming? Why try to
Yeah.
And that's just, it's so frightening to me. Just.
Yeah, if the alien's going to come take our planet, why do we want to save it for them?
Mm-hmm.
Screw this.
And then you have the people that just wanted to destroy everything or destroy the Trisolarans and Earth, like just everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, just the fact that we can't fix or control these ideologies is frightening.
But is it? But see, this is the thing. Now, from what perspective you just spoke, we can't control these ideologies, but the idea of controlling them is frightening to other people, right? And when they don't even have that ideology to begin with, but they're already scared of the idea that you want to control that ideology, because then that's when you have that. It's too much fear mongering amongst everything. And that's the reason why the chain of suspicion is such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch what the meaning behind Luoji's conversation with Wenxie at the beginning?
I don't know.
Or that was actually the reason why he was such a threat to Trisolarans.
Yeah, there was some deep fakes in this book. That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was his plan all along. It seemed like, okay, this is a setup to create this array that, what was it? What did his array do? I can't remember what it was exactly. That he said.
What array? The spell?
No, not the spell. In this book, he said he sets up this array of satellites, I think. But I forget what the purpose was. Yeah.
Okay, so under the guise of the project that the UN had given him to make the space dust, so that they can see what's going on. So he'd actually, under the guise of doing that, he specifically put bombs in each place.
That's what it was. Yes.
In those areas to make a specific pulse or a "we are here" sign.
So anyone looking would say,
right. So that it would also same thing would happen to our solar system that happens to whatever blah 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 E91 from 50 years light years away.
Yes.
So that was the spell. The spell was the test to see that if other civilizations saw that, hey, there's another civilization right here, what they would do with that information. And it was confirmed that they would just completely eliminate it with no questions asked.
Avoided the invasion because they said, hey, look, if you invade us, we're going to broadcast our location, and that's going to broadcast your location.
Right.
And then,
So, I thought that was pretty funny, and I really hope that if they make a visual representation of this, TV series or movie, that when they show that's what he did in the cosmos, that I hope that they literally just take 30 stars and link them to make it look like a giant arrow pointing to that one star. You know what I'm saying? Like as even reading it a second time when he described, we have to pick all of these other stars in relative position to make sure they know exactly where that other star would be. So in order, it would literally look like a constellation of an arrow going, You know?
Well, I think they did enough anyway, because anybody looking would say, "Well, that's not natural."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. But the other deep fake was the and I forget the guy's name, the Space Force guy, the
Zhang Beihai.
Yeah, Zhang Beihai.
Yeah.
Who actually was a defeatist in the end. Ha.
Yeah. Been lying to everybody the whole time, and then did his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, and just whether or not it was karma, it was just whether or not you see things like that coming, and they all realize it at the same time. They're like, oh, wait a minute, we better do this. Too late.
I fully understood that. He took control of the ship, and then he told them that he was doing it to save people, to like continue on humanity. Should everything else be blown to shit. Bits, right?
Yes, which you knew.
But like, why bother doing that if you were just gonna, in the end, kill everybody anyway?
Dude, he wasn't killing everybody. He was gonna kill the other people on the other ships in order to take the parts for those ships, and then save everybody on his ship.
Right.
And that was it. But everybody had the same idea at the same time, and someone else acted first.
Yes.
But what happened in the end on that ship? Because like everybody got depressed, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes. And then they all died.
Right, but it seemed like he was like, "Oh, you people aren't even the same anymore. Like, it's not even worth saving you," kind of thing. That's the impression that I got. Like, he said, "We're different humans now."
Oh yeah, because they're in space. They're not tied to the planet anymore. They're different. They're no longer. Even okay. So if something had happened, and then life on Earth kept going, and then they actually kept going in space, they would be separated humans now. They would actually have a completely different civilization, social structure. Everything is going to be different in space than it would be on the planet. That's what he was trying to say. That we are different humans now, or now that we are broken apart from the Earth society and their structure, we have to build our own. And that didn't really go anywhere.
Well, it did in the sense that it showed, again, part of the Dark Forest.
Exactly.
You know, in the sense that, you know, when just before the Trisolaran probe started doing its thing and destroying the fleet, you know, he locks himself in that thing and said, "You traitor, you're taking us away from the battle." And then, you know, after the battle, it's like, "Hooray, you saved us. You know, you're our hero."
Right.
Like, okay.
Right.
And you're our leader now.
So that changes.
So, and then, you know, once they had time to, you know, get, you know, with their new civilization or their new way of living, I guess, they said again, like you said, everybody started doing the math and said, this doesn't quite work out for all four ships. So there can be only one.
Exactly. So. Basically. And when I read that part, I was like, "Oh, dang!" And here I thought Zhang Beihai had it going. I thought he was like, you know, they made it seem like he was going to be something specific, you know, like something. And then,
well, he showed the
tried.
Yeah. Well, and in a sense, you know, that's all the Wallfacer projects were, except for Luoji's. They all involve like betraying the human race somehow.
Well. The thing is, though, a lot of the stories have to do with, well, at this point, I've done my duty. Yeah. They're like, okay, well, this is my part of the story. I've done what I needed to do. I'm done. And he basically had said that himself. So, you know, what happens beyond this point, I've done my duty, and he was happy with it. But and even the conversation that he was having with that specific captain at that time is what made them make that decision late about what the rest of the
a split second late.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just, wait a minute, we should. Oh well.
Yeah. Boom.
So that was done really well in my opinion.
Yeah. Plus, it was interesting, you know, the difference in technology, and again, you really have to play Civilization. If you played the game Civilization, the computer game, you would totally be into this because it's like, I know this. This is like, when you have like the musket men from the 17th century going up against 20th century infantry. This is exactly what would happen, So, and I was thinking, the humans look at their navy and say, "Oh, we were invincible." Guess what? Not so much.
And it's funny because they talk about that quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a couple instances where, well, would you take an aircraft carrier against a wooden ship? They'd be like, yeah, actually, if we had divers with bombs.
And the thing is, they cite historical precedents where it actually did work, but that's like so small of a thing. You lucky dogs.
I know. Right.
They act as if it was the rule.
But that's the point, though. And that's another thing that another part that they were trying to establish in this, and what kind of point they were trying to push is that the technological triumphalism is a no-no. If you thinking that who has the biggest technology is you are really discounting what the human spirit can accomplish. Mm-hmm. So I think really that was one of the messages for this book, because of what the final scene brought to us. Like, the information came to that. I mean, a lot of this book is about discounting human spirit.
Yes.
And that's the reason why they talk about defeatism and why technological triumphalism is so dangerous. Whoever's got the biggest toys is going to win. No, that's not how that works.
I mean, but that's what people think.
That's exactly what everybody's thinking. And that's where the problem lies. And this is also why that flu or whatever they used to try and assassinate Luoji, that's the shit that scares me.
Which one was this? Now it's from refresh my memory.
When he was locked in the bunker, they locked Luoji in the bunkers for him to finish his work, and he knew that he was going to be needed to be in a safe place. And then they even chided themselves that if Da Shi was here, this wouldn't have happened, because he said before he was put in hibernation, you can't be 100% defensible. Yeah,
exactly. But one of the few times in the book where I could see where the author was going was when Luoji said, you realize I've been teaching physics for 200 years after I started, meaning there's been no change. And so that's a problem.
Yeah. Exactly. That was even brought up twice, because Ding Yi brought it up, because Ding Yi was
So that's what it means to have basic science, locked down. So
there's another thing that I had a hard time with a little bit, just a little bit, was the idea that science is being locked down, that they can't go past a specific point in physics, because they're just going to get nothing but erroneous data and can't really secure anything for it to be mathematically accurate. Right. So, and then there was like, well, we're still only been able to attack 1% of current theories. I want to know these theories now, because I don't know what they were, and now this book really is like here's a vague introduction to them, but what is science working on right now? I have no freaking clue.
Well, maybe there should have been a list for further reading. maybe there is, but
it's like apparently Cixin Liu has some very bright ideas and knows a lot about technology and biology,
and sociology.
Why don't I know some of these things, America?
Well,
I mean, you don't really saturate yourself with science.
No, but I'm saying, like, from growing up as this perspective, from us growing up as children, are our children really given that many resources outside of, you have the world at your fingertips, have fun, but we need to coach them on where they need to go to it, in that. But I feel like Asian societies, they're really just, here's knowledge, info. Here's you know, that's all you get. And, you know, it's like for us, it's not like that.
Well, in that sense, you know, when I was reading it, I got the impression that the Trisolons were like you said, like China, in the sense that they're really good at what was it called? Steady growth in their science and their technology, whereas the Western societies make the huge leaps because of the way the societies are structured.
But see, the interesting part to me was how each specific thing, like what new information sparks specific growth, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're ready for another spark.
Probably.
Are we though?
Possibly.
I think we've actually reached a point where we're learning that the current technologies that we've taken to another perspective, but we're not actually growing with the technology as fast. So we're going to have to take that step back and do a little more testing. But I really do. People just running straight forward with a lot of these things, and I don't know, man. We're starting to get into some dangerous territory.
Well, and then there's, without going into the current political situation, there's the vested interests who are invested in the old technology who say, "Oh, hey, no, we don't want you to do that." So,
well, the hardest thing with that is the resources to upgrade. Is that once you've been using a specific resource for so long, and you to make the transition is going to cost money to shut that specific thing down in order to build the new thing. So that's what I think is halting us, is that lack of wanting to do to make that change.
Well, is it the lack? I mean, isn't it just putting priority on the wrong thing?
Yeah,
putting
absolutely.
Priority on money over progress.
Exactly. Yes. So that's the reason why all these political changes need to happen fast, because we're doing some very bad things to our planet that people seem to want to say it doesn't mean anything, but I don't know.
Kind of does.
We have too much water over here, and California doesn't have enough.
But to the I think it was in this book that and between the two of them, I said, "Oh well." For the third one's a bit tenuous, but in my head it works, in the sense that he mentioned the three grand masters of science fiction, Isaac Asimov, with his Foundation series. Because if you read that, it's like, yeah, I could see the similarities, because that's more about Go ahead.
I want to read it now, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's about what do they call it? Psychohistory is what Isaac Asimov had it as. It's the study of civilization over these long periods of time. And Harry Seldon creates the Foundation for that purpose. And that's the through line through the books. So the second one, he made a reference to Arthur C. Clarke with 2001 with the monolith.
Okay.
You know.
And I remember they named it the floating island Vern.
Yeah. Yes. And then I'm going to take this as hindline, because if you ever read Starship Troopers, you know that the enemies in the book were the bugs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I said, well done, you, all three of them. So.
KIA back up in 3 days. Woo! Oh, man.
But I think it's interesting that, this is a first contact book, but the civilizations actually haven't made actual physical contact yet. Which you'd expect that in the first volume. Like that would be the end of the first volume. But apparently not.
Or the second volume. Jeez, come on.
Yeah,
man.
the second volume, yeah.
That's what I was kind of like going for. And I was like, okay, at least the second book's going to give me more information about these aliens. Nope.
Kind of not. But it's interesting that they do learn stuff about them. That's like, like the one wall facer, he's like, oh, you're going to give us all this water. And then because they're obviously over that long time, they're running out to rehydrate their people. So it said, well, I'm surprised he didn't do more with that.
Right. No, you're right. I agree.
You know?
Maybe that's in the third book.
But that's and then it's maybe in the third book. But it's like, oh, we know something. It's obvious when he says it, but you don't think of it until it's like, well, of course, yeah, that's what would have to happen. So.
No, it was. I really do appreciate how in depth like each of the Wallfeature stories would have gone if the Wall Breaker didn't call him out. So, but the idea that Ray Diaz was just like, I'm just gonna blow everything up—that's insane. And did you understand that?
I mean, I understand that was what was going to happen. I don't understand why.
No, it was just basically like, if we can't have it, you can't either. Right. That was his thinking as a socialist president, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, what?
That was one of the most interesting scenes in the book when he returned to his country.
Oh, and they just stoned him.
Yeah. Stoned him. Yeah.
Yep. I wasn't expecting that either. My people. That's just, dude. I like, and that's what I think was the biggest problem with this book, writing wise, is it really to me read like I was watching a movie.
Oh,
like I can see each one of these scenes specifically written and directed out. I can specifically see each one of them, and I really thought they were done out like a screenplay, like it was written as it was meant to become a movie first, but then it was like, well, let's make it a book because that's not going to happen right away. That's what it says to me. But again, that's also, if the fact that it's translated from another language could mean it was specifically written a specific way, and that's just how it ended up. But I was glad to hear that they are doing it a thing. It's a thing.
Netflix. Right?
Yeah, but the government's trying to get involved. I don't know.
Yeah, because they want to put their thumb on it.
Yes.
Right.
They're
like, don't tell them too much. What was that?
So, what did you think about the ending?
Me?
Both of you. Well, it's an open discussion.
Are you waiting? You want me to go first?
I don't know how I feel about the ending.
Did you understand it?
Other than the fact, yay, it's over.
I mean, it seemed like what the ending was saying was that love is a driving force, and that message should be spread across the galaxy.
Even though to this point there hasn't been any in the two books.
Well, one of the first the essay question that I read was opening up for that list of essay questions was how love was actually represented in this book and why. And that was probably the most one that was skipped because it really doesn't seem like love was played that big of a role, but it actually absolutely did. I mean,
how could you say that it didn't when that was like, crap, I forgot his name.
It was too easily overlooked is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But how? Like the first chapter he was introduced, that was all that they mentioned was him falling in love with this character that he created.
Okay.
Okay.
Luoji.
What do you mean?
I'm Luoji, yeah. I'm very interested because it seemed like you were very uninterested in this when it was happening. And I said it was probably the most important thing in this book that I thought that you would enjoy happening in this book. Because of this reason.
No, that first chapter took me completely out of the story. Like
it did. It literally it was meant to.
But it was frustrating because he left his current girlfriend. He broke up with his current girlfriend due to some imaginary thing that he made up in his head.
In which she had also done the same thing previously And they both knew they would never love each other as much as they loved their own imaginary person. So that was why they both left amicably. And it was left, that scene was done in such a way that it was written in such a way that I enjoyed, that they'd done it like it was just a clean, we're not going to talk about this, but we both know what's up.
Oh my God.
So now for me, the ending, I expected more out of it, but the ending is literally the third book, so that's what I'm waiting for.
Yes. But I thought it was interesting, when he, again, that I thought that brought back the theme of make time for civilization, in the sense that throughout the book, they are fighting for survival, but Luoji's the only one who has something to fight for out of most of the characters. That being his beloved and his family.
So the first half of the book was basically explaining the only love he's really ever had was this literary character. And then he used his wall facer status to find that specific person that matches his character, fell in love with that character, and then they took her away as all right, dude, you need to get to work. Yes. And then so that's where his drive came from. That was his why.
Yes. The reason to fight for, reason to fight for. So, I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, I had a thought and then it just went right out of my head. So give me a second. I'm sorry. No, that's not you. But with the Luoji, maybe if I could talk my way through it. No, with Luoji and his girlfriend and such. Because throughout the book, the author shows how it means to want to survive and what you do in that effort. But again, it ignores the fact that, you don't have love, you don't have any of the other things that make life worthwhile. So, which they realized in the Great Ravine.
Right.
So.
Huh. I wasn't too keen on what the Great Ravine really expressed, like what it was to humanity, outside of the fact that they're all like, well, now we don't have family anymore, and everybody just does what they want.
Yeah, but you have to find purpose again, because if not, what's the point? Like if you don't, like, I don't know. I read Man's Search for Meaning a long time ago. You should check that out at some point. But there's just the human spirit will look for something to live for something to do, to keep, like,
to attach to that life.
Yeah,
makes sense.
In most situations, even in the most dire circumstances.
And some cold, methodical, mechanical type creature mind might not think that way, right?
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, it's the idea of human versus the rest of whatever it might be out there in the universe. It's like, what would make humans better than everybody else? That's what the grand scheme of why, whether or not each civilization, who would do in what situation, but we always have to have a reason why humans should come out on top, right? And it's usually they use love and compassion or empathy as the deciding factor.
Yeah, but at least in this book they give, Liu gives a reason why, because the Trisolarians are just trying to survive. So, all the other civilization stuff is on the back burner.
That was the axioms of civilization, right? It's just what's the least common denominator? What is the one thing that, the only two things they're going to really worry about is just survival. That's it. That's all. That's the only thing that's really
life expands a whole hell of a lot, and there's only limited resources. So guess what?
That was her point, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes. Yeah, when see ya.
I guess I didn't dig that far into it. And it has life. Some life has to be destroyed at some point in order to make room for more.
Yes.
Right.
That's why we don't all live forever.
Son of a
Silence.
the existential
but here we are.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know. While I was reading through it, I was like, maybe it wasn't a good time to read this book.
I don't know. That's entirely possible. So,
but I mean, that's
during I just need a little bit more distance between my sci-fi and my current.
So you're saying you want to wait till the beginning of the year to read the third book?
I don't know. Maybe. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
Who knows? I don't know what kind of
all right. So
thread I'm going to be filled with next.
What happens in the next month politically will decide whether or not I put it on the list for December. Okay.
Oh man, stress.
I did like how he brought it back at the end with the ant on the tombstone.
Agreed.
Yeah, when Sia's tombstone.
Yep.
And that was such an interesting way to describe it. It's like it sounds like he's going over the tombstone, and it's also to show that there are there's other life on Earth, and it's not just humans that are here. Yeah, we are making the decisions for the entire planet.
That's why that scene was that only these few creatures get to see, what has what has changed fate on the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And I liked how he brought it back to the original Trisolaran that when Sia had contacted originally. He was when he received the message and say, "Don't reply," because
Oh my god!
Right.
Oh.
So.
And then what was it that he said? He's like, what I really would the results of this, when the results of this message has come to a good standing, like something that I would hope for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did he phrase that? I can't even think the word I'm using for, but he was just, I'm happy with what has come about. From me saying, don't reply.
Don't reply.
She didn't listen.
Idea. And she did.
I think. Do you think humanity would do the same thing? Do you think if someone was sitting here on the button going, "Yeah, there's nothing out there," and then they got a message back saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And do you think there'd actually be some dude in the thing going, "Just now's not a good time"?
You really don't want this. Trust me.
Don't listen.
But in a way, though, I was just thinking about this. With the dust clouds, they did make use of their technology, and they defeated the technologically superior foe, even though they did not engage them in combat.
Right.
So,
and it's another thing that even the Lord. Oh well, apparently you guys are better strategists than us. So because of apparently the whole mind thing, but I've been reading on this subject quite a bit apparently for the past couple days.
You're in your third book after this one.
I've also read Hank Green's An Absolutely Remarkable Thing.
You got it right, yeah.
Yay! So and it also touches on a few of the same subjects, and then it got me thinking about current technologies and what's going on, what we're looking into, and alien stuff and mind things. But it's very interesting to see what is actually possible right now. It's going into these books that they're actually working on things right now that are just insane. It's scary, actually.
I think what's scary is that, and I've said this before, and I said this to you in the kitchen the other day, just that, we as humans, I think, There are people that create things with enthusiasm and excitement to like just build on love and connection and
To improve.
to benefit, to benefit society. And then you have the people that will always exploit that.
Sure.
That we can't ever have good things because someone will always come in and use it for evil or use it for, you know, a negative reason. And so
that's what they do. They find the loopholes so that other people can fix them. But then there's people that do that for the wrong reasons, of course.
Mhm.
That's what you're saying, right?
I don't want all this anxiety.
All the people going against the common good. That's it.
Do we have
It's final thought time, yes, because I have to go cook dinner.
Final thoughts. Tom, you can go first.
Well, I'm interested to see what happens in the third volume, whether the civilizations actually physically meet or not. It would be interesting if they don't.
Really?
I
want.
It would seem like anticlimactic.
I want a better description of what a Trisolaran is or looks like. Okay, that's the only thing I'm really interested in at this point. Is to somebody to be just like, when he climbed out of the ship, this is what it looked like.
Are you waiting for it to be like an ant?
It's gonna be a bug.
Like,
Well, considering I'm in Axiom's End right now, and they kind of do tell you they look like bugs. Why do all aliens look like bugs, guys? Why?
They don't, though.
They don't. They shouldn't.
Human phobia is what it is, I'm guessing.
Some sort of fear of the other thing. No, if
or
it looks too much like us, God no.
You see a big honking spider in your shower in the morning, yeah, you're gonna it'll get a reaction.
No thanks.
No, see, there you go.
So what did you rate it?
I think if Goodreads had allowed half stars, I would have given it a 3.5, but the ending moved that up to a 4. So
okay.
4.
I mean, it's just like the books are a lot, and there's a lot in them, and a lot that I don't understand. I do think that, you know, I would benefit from a reread. When will that ever happen? I don't know. But I think, like, I don't know. I wouldn't downrate it because I don't understand what's in the book. So I would still say it's a 4. I said the other one was a 4. I think this is a 4 too.
Okay. I think I gave the first one a 5, right?
I don't know.
I think I did. I could be wrong. But for this one, it's definitely a 4 as well, because there's more information that I would have liked to have seen in a second book. And knowing that it was going into a third book, the ending could have been a little bit more forthcoming as well. Like there should have been a little bit more information somewhere in both ends of this. For a second book, I should have seen a little bit more info on the Trisolarans on their side of, you know, because apparently if they can only project their thoughts out, we should be able to hear them, right? That's not how that's working. We're not seeing Trisolaran sides going, well, if they can hide their thoughts, then that's scary. So no, let's destroy them. You know, I feel like there's more here. I know we saw a lot from the human side. I really hope to see more from the alien
actually, that reminds me of that whole thing reminded me of Galaxy Quest. Did you see that movie?
Okay. Yep.
When
Was that was Sigourney Weaver in that?
Yes,
I think she was, and
She
Tim
was.
Allen.
Tim Allen,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I where the bad guy, I can't remember his name. I could see him.
Can we watch it at some point?
At some point.
Soon.
I don't know, I guess.
Soon, like now. Sounds like now. No, where he with I wish I could remember the bad guy's name. But he's like, you know, they're with the geez, I'm forgetting all the freaking names now, and that's unusual for me because I've seen the movie I don't know how many times. But anyway, The Thermians. Yes, he has the ones that the leader of the Thermians, and they're talking about the historical documents. Yeah. And he says, the bad guy says he doesn't understand. Tell him as you would a child.
Yeah.
And I think that reminded me of Trisolarans. Like they have to learn what guile is. And what lying.
Right. And that was actually brought up a couple times because they even brought it up when they were in the game talking about the rest of of course they didn't see this coming because they don't
but this is more efficient. So it was interesting how the their physical way of communicating informed their notions of morality. As they didn't have any because it's right up front. So
yeah, that was what I was going to bring up earlier. Is that they've been doing a lot of reading up on the evolution of mankind and when humans are supposed to be seeing some sort of mental telepathic, fluctuations in our brains, that it was supposed to be another couple hundred years before we start seeing that, but they're starting to see it now, where people can do different things with their minds that they couldn't before.
There's
like being able to control a computer completely with their thoughts.
And keep in mind that we've talked about this for an hour now, and we've just barely scratched the surface of the book. So
it's a whole over 500 pages.
Dude, you could the morality of the seal, the all the different things we can talk about, like Zhang Beihai and what his promises to his dad, and whether or not his dad is resting, and then there's so much to talk about in this book. It's insane, and they all have different meaning, and these are some of the strings that we can put together for you.
Well, I guess it will be interesting to see how the third book brings it all together and what happens.
Agreed.
Oh, incidentally, in that regard, I understand there's a fourth book which Liu didn't write, but he okayed. It's by that Bao Shu.
What? Interesting.
And I'm not sure what its place is in the thing, but let me see. Redemption
of Time.
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, the Remembrance of Earth's Past is what they're calling the full series. Okay.
Yes, and this is placed as book 4, unless this is him under another name, which is entirely possible. But
yeah, that could be because we won't talk about it.
Yeah, it says no, it's a Goodreads thing. It says here, this original story by Bao Shu, published with Liu's support, envisions the aftermath of the conflict between humanity and the extraterrestrial Trisolarans. So, in my mind, it's non-canon, but since Liu didn't write it, but
Board's spacecraft had launched on a trajectory to intercept the Trisolaran First Fleet.
So
you'll discover why the universe is a dark forest, and for the first time, you'll come face to face with a Trisolaran.
Oh,
oops!
Spoiler alert!
Spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, take that out. Leave that out.
Sorry.
A whole book. You had a whole book.
Oh my God.
I only asked for one thing, and it was dashed before I even got there.
Oh my God! Well, now you have to read the redemption.
Apologies to anybody who was going to read the.
You just ruined it for everybody.
I did not see that ending up where it did.
Oh, damn it.
But it's translated by Ken Liu, who translated the first one.
Yeah, good.
Again,
okay, I gotta go.
Maybe it is him under another name, but I don't know. It seems like that's just odd. Really, really God.
Come on. Don't point it out.
What?
Again, he's probably doing it for a reason.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Oh, interesting.
So,
The Chinese government found him.
oh, you had to go there.
I'm sorry. All right, let's get. I gotta go so I
You
can
have
get,
to-
before I
okay,
get in any more
so
trouble or get anybody else in any more
if
trouble.
anybody has
Yeah.
made it this far, I'll try to put a spoiler warning somewhere.
Dude, this whole thing is a spoiler warning. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
thanks.
Yeah, just know where
so-
the spoiler is in the thing.
So next month, I don't have a physical copy, but next month we will be reading The Scarlet Letter
Yes.
by
Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Am I right?
You are.
I hope so.
No, it's no kidding. It is.
It's not Nathaniel Hawthorne.
So if you've read it, you can join us for a discussion next month. If you haven't read it, please join us reading it. I've never read it, so it will be a new experience for me.
I read it in 6th grade.
That's weird, I feel like.
I don't remember anything. Oh, we also watched the movie. There's a movie.
Mm.
Mhm.
There's any number of adaptations.
Yeah,
of
I
it,
feel like there's
Yeah.
probably like a bunch
Yeah.
of them.
We've watched
including
6.
Demi Moore's wishful thinking adaptation.
All right, we have to watch it after the fact. We'll watch something
Yes.
after the fact.
Okay.
Yes, the
watch-
ending is not what Hawthorne envisioned. So
Not that one.
Anyway.
How about that one? No, that's the first rendition that I watched in hell.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us if you've made it this far. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a good rest of the week.
Whatever day it is now that you're watching this, have a wonderful day.
mhm. Bye.